All right. Good morning, everybody. Today is Daf Lamed Ches, Maseches Yuma. We got to the Mishnah, 3 lines down on the wide lines. Lamed Ches. So we actually is almost identical Gemara we saw in Shkalim, and actually the Gemara a little bit over there compares and contrasts the Pshat over here. But the Gemara, the Mishnah starts. So we mentioned the previous Mishnah. We were talking about praising those who did some changes to the Beis Hamikdash, improvements, whether it was adding gold or other materials. And we said Ve'elu l'ganai shel Beis Garmu lo ratz lamed al ma'aseh lechem hapanim. So Beis Garmu, they had a special way of putting in the loaves and being able to take out the loaves without them breaking apart. That was a special thing that that it was like a family secret. And they didn't want to teach anybody else. They wanted to keep that secret in the family. Shabbos Haftinas and Shabbos Haftinas lo'ratzu lamed al ma'aseh Torah. They didn't want to go ahead and teach the ma'aseh Torah. It wasn't so much the ingredients, but the way that the smoke rose and filled up the heichal. And Hugrus ben Levi hayayode perik bashir, and Hugrus ben Levi had a certain tune in the way they would share, a sort of type of whistling or making noise. He didn't want to go ahead and teach the other people how to do it, basically to keep the family secrets, right? In order, for him and his children, his grandchildren, always to be able to want, so you guys have to serve. And Ben Kamsar Lorotza Lamed Al Ma'aseh Ksav, right? And Ben Kamsar didn't want to go ahead and teach a certain trick, a way to write. We'll soon see. Basically, write 4 letters, hold 4 pens or writing instruments in a hand, and moving the hand and be able to write 4 letters simultaneously. So Al Rishonim, regarding the first group that we said in the previous Mishnayos, praising them, Nemar Tzadik Zecher Tzadik Levracha. Then they bring the pasuk, right, which is all the same pasuk in Mishlei, which says Zecher Tzadik Levracha, the remembrance of the Tzadik is for a blessing. Al Elu, and these who did not share their secrets, which was not a good thing. Nemar V'Shem Rishayim Yirkav, right? The name of Rishayim shall rot. Fine. Taner Rabbanan. So Zakti Gemara. Beis Garmu haya bikim ma'aseh lechem hapanim. So Beis Garmu, they were bucky in ma'aseh lechem hapanim. By the way, those who have to leave early today, the plan of the Mitzvah Shem's today is to finish the parak. Now, haya bikim ma'aseh lechem hapanim. So they were the Beis Garmu. They were experts in ma'aseh lechem hapanim. They don't want to go ahead and teach it. So the Chachamim say, no, we're done with these guys. I have an idea. Let's go ahead and we'll hire outside. We'll outsource it. And we'll be just as good, right? We'll order from China. They view. They brought their workers to Mitzrayim. They knew exactly how to bake the breads. They looked just as fresh. However, they didn't know how to go ahead and remove the loaves from the ovens, from the way they baked, in order to go ahead and stack it, and that they would not break apart. The workers from Alexandria, the specialists, they knew they heated it from the outside and they baked it on the outside. But however, Beis Garmu, they had a way of doing masikin b'bifnim. They basically would heat it from the inside, and they would basically go ahead and bake it from the inside. Therefore, I guess it would crust over. That they'd be able to, take them out for the breads to have the shape and not break apart. And halo pisa misafeshes, the halo in pisa misafeshes, right? And the breads, of the other workers, will become stale, and the breads of Beis Garmu will not become stale. Heard that their imported help, right, wasn't as good. Right, everything HaKadosh Baruch Hu created for His own sake. In other words, the world's greatest bakers are, this family of Beis Garmu, which is doing it for the Mikdash. Shenemar, as the pasuk says, Kol Hanikra b'Shmi lechvaydi b'Rasi. As the pasuk says, right, whoever calls on my name was for my honor. They were created. The Chazru Beis Garmu l'Mekayman. They said, you know what, let's go ahead and bring these guys, Beis Garmu, bring them back to the Mikdash. They're the ones how to do it. So Shalchu lahem, Chacham and the Chacham said, okay, guys, come back, we're ready. They said, no, you rejected us. You don't need us. So Kaf lahem Skaron, so they said, okay, we'll double your wages. And then they said, okay, fine. And every day they used to go ahead and take 12 mana, right? 1,200 zuz. And now it would double to 24. And Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Yehuda says no, every day was 24. And it now went up to 48. So how come you guys don't teach your family secret? Right? We know from we have basically a Masorah that eventually the Mikdash is going to be destroyed. And Shema Yilmad Adam She'enam Hugan V'Yilmad V'Yelech V'Yavod Avodas Kochav. Perhaps what's going to happen? We don't want to go ahead and teach it because we know if we keep the family secret and it's not going to get out. But if we go ahead and teach others and other people know it, also Avodah Zarah will come around and people will do this Maisa for baking for the purpose of Avodah Zarah. So and this now, even though Chamin really didn't really buy into their argument, they had an argument, right? We don't want this, the secret to be used for bad purposes, i.e. Avodas Kochav, right? But nevertheless, we mention them Lagnai because we really don't buy their secret. They really just wanted the monopoly of guaranteeing their family this job. However, there was something that was very praiseworthy of their actions. Right? There was never fresh bread found in their house, right, or in their children. So in order that people will say, oh, the reason why they have fresh bread is because they're basically, the same way they make the lechem panim, they're also making the, the same type of bread in their house. No. So therefore, there wouldn't be any sort of accusations for them misusing it. Like Chaim Eshnar, to fill the pasuk, it says, "Va'yisneki me'Hashem Yisrael," right? That they should be free of charges, right? Not even any sort of suspicion, not only from Hashem, but even from their fellow Jews. Fine. 2 dots. Now, very similar Gemara. Shel Beisaftina. They didn't want to go ahead and teach the others how to do the Ma'aseh Ketores, right? The incense that was burned in the Mikdash. So Tarabanan Beisaftina Sayyabiki B'Ma'aseh Ketores. They were experts in the Ma'aseh Ketores for Los Lamid. They didn't want to go ahead and teach others. So Chacham say, no, we've had it. Let's go ahead and bring in import workers to do their jobs. So they went there and they brought in workers from Mitzrayim. And they know how to make the exact same smell, the incense. However, they didn't know how to make the smoke go up like them. So those of Beis Haftinos, their smoke would go up straight like a stick and then spread out on top. However, the imported workers, their smoke would just go up everywhere, right? It would go up all at once, and therefore wasn't as nice. The heard that, hey, the imported workers were not the same as the ones, that from the Beis Haftinos. So when they heard this matter, they said, right? Everything that Kadosh Baruch Hu created really was for his own honor. Shneimar, as the pasuk says, right? All the workers of Hashem was basically for serving Hashem. And they said, you know what? Let's go ahead and bring Beis Haftinos back to the place. Send the message to them. All right, guys, you can come back. We'll get rid of the imported workers from Alexandria. However, they didn't want to come. They said, okay, we'll double your rewards. And they came. Normally they took 24 mana, but now they're taking normally they took 12 mana, now they're taking 24. Rabbi Yehuda says no. Every day they were taking 24, and now they're taking 48. So Amar said to them, right? What is your defense? How come you guys don't teach him in order not to teach it? So they said once again, same excuse. We have a Masorah from our father's house, right, and his father, right, that the Beis Hamikdash will eventually be destroyed. And they said, Shema Yomaid Adam, and perhaps someone's going to go ahead and learn this family secret and basically use it for the purposes of idol worship, and God forbid that would happen. So once again, that was their excuse. However, as we see from a Mishnah, that they were remembered Lignai. They remembered for not, they were not praised for it. This is a bad thing. So therefore, they didn't really buy into their excuse. However, there was something notable that they did, noteworthy. Right? Nobody, bride from their family ever came out, perfumed from their house. Right? In order that people not to, say, hey, they're using the ketores for their own personal use. They marry somebody else from the outside. Right? They basically said, okay, by the way, when you marry into his family, you're no longer allowed to wear perfume. So, in order that people will say, hey, that you're perfuming yourself from the Keteris of the Beis Hamikdash. To fill that pasuk says, in order that they should be clean from any sort of suspicion from Hashem and Bnei Yisrael. Fine. Tanya, I don't know, 8 lines from the bottom. Amar Rabbi Shmuel Pamachas Hayisi Mahalech B'derech. One time I was walking B'derech Matzasi Echem B'nei B'neihem, and I found one of their sons. Amarti Lord, I said to him, Avasecha Bikshul Rahabas Kevoidam V'Ratz L'Mayit Kevoid Hamakom. Right, your forefathers, right? They wanted to increase their own covet because they wanted to keep this job of the Ketores in their family. And they want to minimize the kavod hamakom by not having others know how to do ma'aseh ketores. However, achshav now kavod hamakom Hakadosh Baruch Hu is still in his makom, right? There still is kavod Hakadosh Baruch Hu, umiyat kavodim, and you guys no longer serve in the temple. Therefore, you guys are now lowly. And Amar Rabbi Kiva says, Rabbi Kiva Sachli Rabbi Yishmael ben Luga. It was told to me by Yishmael ben Luga, Pamachas Yatzasi Ani V'Echam B'nei B'neihem L'Sadeh. One time I was going with a member from their family into a field, to go ahead and gather grass. But and I saw, right, I think this was on the order, Shabacha the right? He cried and he laughed. So I'm why are you crying? So I'm like, I'm crying because I remember the honor they used to give my father's house when they used to go ahead and serve in the temple with the Ma'aseh Ketores. Why are you laughing? So he told me, the HaKadosh Baruch Hu will go ahead and return us. So what reminded you of this right now, right? Why did you all of a sudden start to laugh or to cry and to laugh? So I'm really, I see this mylosh, I see like basically the secret ingredient that we used to use to go ahead and allow the smoke to go up. So go ahead and show me. So no, I have a shvua, right? A family secret. I swore I can't tell anybody the secret ingredient. And one time I found a certain elder from his family, and he had the Megillah, basically a recipe in his hands of different spices, biyado in his hand. Amarti lo, he says, where are you from? So he told me, I'm from the house of Avtinas, right? The house the family that does the Ketores, right? What's in your hands? So he told me Megillah Samanim. So this is the Megillah, this is the scroll of the different spices that are used for the Ma'aseh Ketores. So really show me. So when my house, basically my family's house, was working in the Mikdash, and therefore we weren't allowed to show anybody else. However, but now here it is for you. However, be careful. In other words, now we see finally their family cracked. So he gave it to him, and he was careful not to give it over to anybody else. When I told this before Rabbi Kiva, now we can no longer say, that these are legnai, because we see that the family did give it over, family secret for the purpose of kavod shemayim. From here, Ben Azai said, right? So it says over here that it says, right, in your name they'll call you, and in your place they will seat you, right? You will be placed back to where you were. All right, and then that which is yours we'll give back to you. In other words, right? Basically, a person cannot go ahead and take something that doesn't belong to him. If this family is supposed to serve there, even if they give out the family secret to others, it will still remain with them. And also a kingdom won't come if somebody else is supposed to be the melech. No other kingdom will come, right? We'll touch there. Even for one moment. In other words, if some family is malchus is supposed to be ruling, then nothing will be taken away. In other words, they will rule in terms of their appropriate time, and no one will take from them. Fine. Top of Lamed Chesed base, 3 lines from the top. Hurgas ben Levi v'chulei. So Hurgas ben Levi, they was the ones who sang Satanik Shu Naisen Kolo ben Ima. When he would say Machnis Godlo l'Seich Piv, you stick his thumb in his mouth and go ahead and basically put like his finger above by his mustache. Until basically the other Kohanim would sort of jump, right? And they would be startled about by the sound that was this unique tone or pitch or whistle or whatever noise that was made by this family of Hurgus ben Levi. And Tanra Abanan, and now comes the fourth family, Ben Kamsar, Lo Yiros Lamed Al Mais Aksav. He didn't want to go ahead and teach a certain way of writing things. Amr Love, they said about him, Shayonoito, Dalad Kulmusid, Ben Asbaisav. He basically took 4 pens, right, to 4 quills, right, in between his fingers. And if it was a 4-letter word, he would be able to write it all at once. Samr Lo, Marisa Shalamed. How come you guys don't want to teach anybody else? So Kulon Matsu Tshuva Divayan. So all of them found a reason, and all the other ones were special performances that were done in the Mikdash. However, there was no way of writing the Mikdash that served Kavod Shemayim. They just didn't want to teach it, right? However, Ben Kamsa Lo Matsu Tshuva Divar Bal Rishon, right? Tshuva Divar, right? But Ben Kamsa didn't want. He had no tshuva, he had no answer. They just, stuck with their family secret because I guess, it would keep, I guess, safras in their family. Al Rishayim Nemar Zeichet Tzaddik Bracha, for the families, the ones who did good, who passed on the secret for Kavod Shemayim, those we remember Zeichet Tzaddik Bracha, V'al Ben Kamsar, V'chaveirav, and the others mentioned with him. Nemar, the pasuk says, V'shem Rishayim Yirkav, right? End of the pasuk of, right, the name of the Rishayim of the wicked, Yirkav will rot. So my V'shem Rishayim Yirkav, so Amar Rabbi Elazar says Rekivos Tala B'Shmaisam Deloy Masikna B'Shemaya. In other words, their names will rot. In other words, nobody will use their names anymore. A person is a Russia, no one will go ahead and use their names anymore, and therefore the name will rot. Right? No one will use the name anymore. However, Meisiv Ravina Vinas Akasha, Meisiv Doeg ben Yosef. Right? Doeg was not a good character in Tanakh, and therefore he was a Russia. Right? We said names of Rashaim will basically will no longer be used. However, there was a Maisa with an individual named Doeg ben Yosef, someone named the child Doeg after Russia. So it's a question: what happened with him? Right? Shenichu Aviv ben Kata, that his father passed away when he was younger. Every day, I guess she was a very wealthy woman. Right, every day that he would grow a certain amount every day. She would estimate, how much he grew, since yesterday, and she would give like that amount of money in gold, right, to the base of Mikdash. However, when the Jews were under siege and the base of Mikdash was destroyed, right, and there was a churban, tavachaso v'chalaso, right, she shechted him and she ate him. That's how desperate she was. And for this, Yirmiyah, he lamented. He says, so he says over there that the women will eat their children, right? And Meshiva Ruach HaKodesh ve'Emeres, and then the Ruach HaKodesh says, right? So and it says this is for the murder of Kohanim and Nevi'im in the base of Mikdash. This is why this befell the Jews. So nevertheless, we see that someone used the name Doeg. I thought the names of wicked people will no longer be used. So the Gemara says, Chazi Ma'isalik, see what happened to him, right? Doeg was named after Doeg was a Russia. So look what ended up happening. He was, shechted and eaten by his mother. Omar Rebbe Elazar Tzadik Miatzmo the Russia Mechavero. So when a tzaddik is mentioned, right? So you see his tzikus is his righteousness is basically mentioned from himself, right? From his own, and Russia even the mentioning from his chavero, right? So what do you mean? Tzaddik mi'atzmo d'chsiv zecher tzaddik livracha, right? Because as zecher tzaddik livracha, when he mentioned in tzaddik, that's not livracha. However, the Russia mechavero, right? Russia from his friends. What do you mean? Not just himself. D'chsiv v'shem rishayim yirkav. It says rishayim, right? Plural. Yirkav is in other words. So therefore, rishayim, right? Even it's not through his own remembrance, even through somebody else does something, then people remember. Oh yeah, it reminds me of this wicked person who did X, Y, and Z. And Amarle Ravina Lo Rabbanan says Ravina Tisur Rabbanan the Havi Masadir Agadah Kame, so who is I guess teaching Agadah before him. So he says Mina Ha Milsa Damar Rabbanan Zeichet Tzaddik Livracha. Right? Where do we know this concept? Right? This of Zeichet from Tanakh Zeichet Tzaddik Livracha. So Amarle, what do you mean? Aksiv Zeichet Tzaddik Livracha. There's a pasuk that says, right, when you remember a tzaddik, it will be for a blessing. So he says, no. Midaraisa Minalan. Where do we see this concept in Chumash? Right? That pasuk is said in Mishlei. Where do we see this concept in Chumash? So the Chesiv, it says, the pasuk says, "Hashem Amar Mechasani Mi'Avram Asher Ani Aisa." Right? Should I go ahead and right? Hi, that's what I'm going to do for Amar Avinu. See if it says Vavram Haya L'Goy Gadol Batzu. So it says, and mentioning, so once we mention Avram Avinu, right, he will become a great nation. So we see even by the mentioning of Avram Avinu, right, then we'll mention his blessing that he'll become a great nation. And same question, where do we see in Chazal that Shem Rashayim Yirkav, that the name of Rashayim will rat? So I'm like, what do you mean, Shem Rashayim Yirkav? Look at the end of the pasuk in Mishlei. It says over there, Shem Rashayim Yirkav, right? The names of the wicked will rat. It says, no. Midoraisim in Alon. Where do we see that concept in the Torah? So the Chsiv, Vayol al Sodom, it says he pitched a tent in Sodom. And speaking of Sodom, the next passage says, Sodom mode, right? It says they were very wicked and very evil. Therefore, by just mentioning of Sodom, hey, they should rot because they were, wicked and they sinned to Hashem. And Omar, Rebbe Elazar Tzaddik Dar Ben Shnei Rashayim Lo Lamad Mimasem. Right, there was a tzaddik who lived amongst two Rashayim and did not learn from their Maisim. And Rasha Dar Ben Shnei Tzaddikim Lo Lamad Mimasem. And there was also a Rasha that lived amongst two tzaddikim and unfortunately did not learn from their ways. Tzaddik Dar Ben Shnei Rashayim. Who was the tzaddik who lived with two Rashayim and did not learn from their Lo Lamad Mimasem and did not learn from their Maisim? So that was Ovadia. That he lived with, I know Rashi said the two names, Avadia lived with, right, Ben Achav Yizevel, right, Achav Yizevel. And who was the Rasha Dar Ben Shnei Tzadikim Lo Loben Ma'aseim? And it was a Rasha who lived in the household of two tzaddikim and did not learn from their Ma'asim. So Esav, that was Esav, right, who was born to Yitzchak and Rivka, and he became a Rasha. And I think it's V'Omar. All these hays are V'Omar, right? V'Omar Rebbe Elazar Mibir Chasan Shel Tzadikim Ata Lomed Klala V'Shayim, right? From the bracha of Tzadikim, right? We see that there's a klala that comes right afterwards to the wicked people. Miklasan Shel V'Shayim, when we curse the wicked people, Ata Lomed Bracha Tzadikim. There is a bracha on Tzadikim. What do you mean? Mibir Chasan Shel Tzadikim Ata Lomed Klala V'Shayim. From the bracha of Tzadikim, you see there's a klala V'Shayim. The pasuk says, Ki Adati Lamana Sheyitzaveh. So the pasuk says over there, I think it's also by Avram, right? That all the goodness that was done in the house of Amar Avinu, right? And it says it says afterwards, Vayomer Hashem Zakas Sodom ve'Amorah, right? And however, in contrast to this, right, is Sodom ve'Amorah. So there was a curse that came that followed the bracha regarding Amar Avinu. Ki Rabba, right, and that was the evil, the wicked, which was done by Sodom and Gomorrah. That was great. And from the wickedness or the curse of Rashayim, Ato Lomed Berachal Tzadikim. You see, there's a blessing to Tzadikim. The pasuk says, "V'anshei Sodom roim v'chatim la'Hashem." It says the people of Sodom were wicked and they sinned to Hashem. Hashem Omar al Avram. And then it says Hashem said about Avram, "Achrei yiparid loit me'imo." Right, then he went ahead. And he says Avram, he left Lot, and then he said, basically, he promised him the land of Eretz Yisrael, and he gave him a bracha. So he said, from the curse, right, of the Rashayim came the bracha for the tzaddikim. The Omar Rebbe Eliezer, even for the purpose of one tzaddik, the world's creation. And as the pasuk says, Vayar Lakim Es Ha'or, right? Hashem saw the light, Ki Tov, Ve'ein Tov Elot Tzaddik. And Tov is a tzaddik shem, as the pasuk says, Amru tzaddik kitov. They said tzaddik kitov, so we see that even for the creation of the world is worth it even for one tzaddik. The Amar Rebbe Eliezer called mishachech davar mitalmudo. Person who is shacheach, he forgets something from his learning. Garim galus lebanav. He will cause exile to his children. Shnamar, as the pasuk says, Vatishkach Torah alekecha v'ashkach benecha gamani. Right, so he says you will forget the Torah, right? Then I will forget your children. And Rabbi Yavo Amar Maridun Oisa Migdulasa, right? He is lowered from his Gedulah. And the pasuk says Kiata Hadas Measta V'Amasecha Mechayin Li. Right, pasuk. Where is this pasuk? Lamed. Right, pasuk is in Hosea. So it says over there, right, that because you forgot your learning, right. I will basically remove you from serving me. So a person will be, he will be married, he will be lowered from his gedula, from his greatness, right, from his serving. And Amar B'China Bar Abba, Amar B'Chia Bar Abba, Amar Rabbi Yechanan, Ein Tzadik Niftar Mina Olam Ad Shenivra Tzadik Kamosa. Tzadik does not leave this world until another Tzadik is created like him. Shnamar, the pasuk says, the Zorach Hashemesh Uba Shemesh, right? It says the sun sets and the sun comes. Ad Kavsa Shimshasha Eli Zarcha Shimshashel Shmuel Ramasi, right? That that before that the sun was set of Eli, so then Shmuel Ramasi was born. The Yamar Rav Chia Bar Abam Rabbi Yechon Ra Hakadosh Baruch Hu Shetzadikim Muatim. He saw that there were tzaddikim were few and far between in this world. Therefore, they were placed. Very few were sprinkled amongst the generations. As the pasuk says, Ki LaHashem mitzuke eretz v'yashda leim teva. So it says over there that the tzaddikim, right? They are the pillars, right? The pillars of the world, and therefore Hashem, basically, placed the world upon these pillars, and therefore they had to be a few pillars in each generation. They couldn't all be at the same time. And for one tzaddik the world is miskayim. Shnamar the pasuk says, but tzaddik yisod olam, right? The tzaddik is the foundation of the world. And Rav Chia Didei, Omar Rav Chia himself said, Omar Mihacha, different pasuk says, Ragle Chasidov Yishmor, right? Right, the legs, right, of those of Ragle Chasidov, because of the Chasidov, right, because of the Chasidim, Yishmor Hashem will guard the words. So Gemara says Chasidov Tuva Mashma. It sounds like Chasidov is plural, not one Chas. It says Chasidov. So Rav Nachman Yitzchak. Chasido ksiv, it says Chasido, it doesn't have the vav there, which is mashma Chasido because of his chesed, his chassid, right? His person who is devout, such a person as the Hashem will guard the world. Amar Rav Chia bar Abba Amar Rav Yechanan kevan shiyatza rov shasa shadam v'leichata. Once a person, most of his years have passed by and he's not sin, shuvei nechayta, no, he will no longer sin. Shnei says. Ragle Chasidav Yishmor, right? Because of this Chasidav, he'll be guarded. So he'll be guarded from sin because he already guarded himself. And the Beir Rav Shila Amar Kevan Shabal Yadu Devar Avera Hamishayna V'Shnia says no. Even if an Avera comes to a person once or comes to him twice, Ve'ena Chayta, and he doesn't sin. Shu Ve'ena Chayta, he will know he was basically guarded. Hakadosh Baruch Hu will help guard in such a manner. Shnamar, the pasuk says, Ragle Chasidav Yishmor, but for the same pasuk, because of his Chesed or Chasid. Because of his devoutness, then he'll be guarded. And Amar Reish Lakish Ma'idach Sivas Paskamim Elates him who Yolitz Ulanavim Yitain Chain. What does it mean? Those who mock, right? He will mock, and those who are poor, he will give chain. So Bali Tame Pais Kanal. A person who wants to go ahead and be matame himself, right? He wants to go ahead and do bad things, then he'll have the opportunity. Bolo the tire person is looking to go ahead and purify himself. The sign also, he will also be helped. So person, whichever way he wants to go, he will be helped in such a way from a Kodesh Baruch Hu. And Tana the Baby Rishmal Mashal Adam Shaya Meicher Nefet Va'apir Simon, right? Like a person he sells spices, right? Some smelly spices, good smelling spices. So what happens? So Limdod Nafet Amrla Madurata Lasmacha, right? When he comes to go ahead and buy something which smells bad, he says, okay, it's over there, second on the left, you can go ahead and serve yourself. However, when he goes ahead to buy the good smelling perfume, the Valsim Amar Lo, Hemting Liad Shemda, I'll go ahead and I'll get it for you. In order that both of us, I'll smell good also. So by me taking out the perfume, I'll get some of that good perfume on me, and therefore I will basically, join you in the goodness. And Tana the Bei Rabbi Shmuel Avera Temes Libo Shel Adam, right? A sin basically blocks the heart of a person. Shnamar the pasuk says, V'lo sidamu bahem v'nit meisam bum. So it says, don't go ahead and matame yourselves, right? V'nit meisam bum. What if you meisam bum? Doesn't mean meisam al tikri v'nit meisam. Don't mean that you'll be matame yourself. Ella v'nit mata, right? You will block yourself, obstruct yourself. So in other words, a person who don't go ahead and be matame, defile yourself, because then your heart will be obstructed. Tanur Rabbanan, similarly. So same pasuk, it says Adam matami atzma matami also harbi. A person goes ahead, he defiles himself a little bit, then he will become a lot defiled. In other words, that's the direction he goes in. And if he does it, down here, then up above, he'll also be matami himself. And Be'olam Hazeh, and if he is matami himself in this world, matami nosel yom haba, then he's matami himself in the world to come, and the vice versa. Tanur Rabbanan, he's kashem vayisem kadoshim, right? Sanctify yourselves, and you become kadoshim. So Adam is Kaddish the person goes and sanctifies himself a little. Then he'll be assisted, he'll be sanctified plenty. And Milamata, if he does little things in this world, then he'll in the heavens he'll be sanctified there. And Beilam Hazda, and if he goes ahead and sanctifies Milam Hazda, then he is sanctified also in the world to come. So now we finish. And tomorrow, Mr. Hashem, we will continue from here, the fourth parak. Meretz Hashem, everyone have a wonderful day. Yasher Kayach.